Alright, made it to the next day, Saturday. Messing with the K20 some. We got quite a bit done to it, I guess, for the short amount of time we had to work on it. We got one of the heater hoses replaced. Still got the the upper one was a bigger diameter, so I gotta get another line for it. Got the lower radiator hose, the upper radiator hose, both belts replaced. Got the master cylinder put on, and we still got to get the brakes bled though. But other than that, we did pretty good. Got, I don't know, I guess for the amount of time we had, which isn't much, so at least the K20 is moving along pretty good. So have to call it quits for today on it, and see if we can get started on the K5. So we made a little progress today. I was hoping to get a little farther, at least get the brakes bled out. But at least the master cylinder's on, the belts are changed, the hoses are changed. Still got to get, I didn't put the antifreeze on it yet for the winter because of the upper radiator hose. No sense in putting it in yet. And it'd be a trip to the parts store, get that other hose, get the antifreeze put in it, get it fired back up and let it circulate, and get the brakes bled out. And here's the biggest reason for all that. This big old tree with all kinds of rotten branches straight over the cab. They're starting to fall off little by little, so gotta get her fired up and get her moved, and before something drastic happens. But so we'll go down, see if we can get I ended up buying the press. They didn't have the one we wanted, so we had to go the next size up. So we ended up buying the 20-ton press from Harbor Freight, so that should handle anything we need to do. And we'll go get started on it. Now we have the pinion for the K5. It's kind of dark down here. I had to put this thing in the basement. And since there's nowhere outside to store it now, you gotta remember I've never done this before, but read up what I could on the internet, and it doesn't seem too bad. Just gotta make sure it's lined up, and hopefully it'll press right out. I'm hoping this press actually goes down far enough. I think we're hitting it. Man, I wish I had something that would catch it. But I'm afraid of is hurting the threads around the pinion, and that, and safety, since I don't have my safety glasses down here. So I need to find something to, here, bucket full of plastic. See if we can hold that up there to catch it. I hope. And I think it's actually, yep, she's moving out. Pretty easy, so you shouldn't have to worry about the threads. For the yoke, the threads I'm talking about. There she went. So, get this back up. See what we got. Alright, where'd you go? So let's see what we got here. Wet gear oil stinks. So here's the crush sleeve. Doesn't even really, in the pictures I've seen online, that doesn't even really look crushed. As far as new ones go, I was looking at some from Napa, and they're already bubbled out some in the center from the photos they showed, so I ain't reusing that one. But the bearing, you guys can see that there's no chips. Everything seems fairly tight, but I'll definitely get somebody who knows what they're looking at to check that out. I don't have the piece yet for this to that goes in there to pop the bearing off if it needs to come off, but they're not that much, so if I need to, I'll go buy one. And like I was saying, the teeth and everything look good. That pinion bearing looks good. Set that down. Set that down there so nothing happens to it. And you guys back over here. Just bear with me because this is definitely a first for me. See, this bearing's the same way. It does seem a little loose in there. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but man, the lighting down here is just so poor. So I'll get somebody to check these bearings out. If they need replaced, I'll replace them. No big deal. They don't cost that much. Which is odd because I was looking at Napa's website and it's cheaper to go through Napa to buy the bearings and races than it is to get online and buy a kit. Same way the races, if you can see down there, nice and smooth. No nicks, no scratches, gouges, anything. I mean, they're nice and smooth. The other one's the same way. They almost look brand new. But looks like there's got some weight. I'll definitely get someone knows what they're talking about to look at that. And because I am definitely no expert on that. Like I said before, we had rear end issues. We just go buy one, unbolt the old one, slide the new one under, bolt it up, and call it a day. This is actually first time we've ever went to the extent of actually trying to overhaul one of them, or at least semi-overhaul one of them. And so this is definitely a learning experience for me. It costs a little bit to do it out of pocket, but it's a learning experience. Something good to know. So I'll get someone to check them out, and then we'll pick it back up. I'm going to try to get you a better view of the crush sleeve. I don't even think, the way this looks, this one, as soon as it turns around, this is a Yukon brand. Picture up here. On Amazon anyway, the Yukon version. Factory style crush sleeve. And as you can see in the picture, you can see the center, how it's bulbed out a little bit and flat on each end. This one is the same way. Now, with that said, I don't think, of course, here I'm not a professional at this, so my best guess is when they assembled the unit, they put the crush sleeve in and they put the bearing in, but when it was pressed together, they stopped when they hit the crush sleeve, threw it together, and called it a day. The reason I think that is on the bearing itself, there's no real, it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but on the bearing itself, there's no real, the only thing you see is machinery marks. There's no real, I mean, you can even see, well, you guys probably can't see, I can see, you can just barely see just a ring even going around the center part of the bearing right there. And let me get that back out. The crush sleeve itself, I mean, it doesn't look like it was changed at all in the center, you know, like it was crushed down any at all. Both sides just look normal as they can be, like there's never really been any, just this one side is like just barely was even touching something. I'm not going to reuse it for sure. Without a doubt, I'm not going to use it. It'll make matters even worse. But I still get the bearing looked at, but just from digging online, the crush sleeves are cheap, and so it's, you know, it's not worth taking a chance of stupid phone. Because I was debating on Let me get it to come up here real quick. A crush sleeve, anyway, a crush sleeve eliminator kit. And they're really not that expensive. Just depends on where you go, but yeah, the crush sleeves themselves, I mean, even as far as online it goes, it's if it's for a 14, it doesn't say, but it says $5.99 at AutoZone. You can get Yukon has a crush sleeve kit for $60. And there's other ones on here that have them cheaper, so we'll dig into that. Alright guys, so here we go. I ordered a part so we could wrap this video up. Instead of getting another crush sleeve, which they are inexpensive, went ahead, got online, done some research, and East Coast Gear Supply, we ordered the solid spacer kit. Get the metal block with all the shims, and going that route instead of going and using the crush sleeve. We're going to go ahead and do the eliminator kit. I should have it in a couple days. Wasn't too bad. It's $45 plus shipping. I think shipping was like $12, and so it wasn't bad. And so we're going to try that. It's figuring, because with the eliminator kit, you can I've never used one, so just from what I've read online, you can use them once you get them set. They're set. So if you ever have to change a pinion seal or yoke or whatever have you, it's, you know, if you with the crush sleeve, if you have to change the yoke or take the yoke off to change the pinion seal, then you got to redo the crush sleeve. And so since you never know what's going to happen, and I'm sure since it's my first time doing it, I'll probably go through a couple of them trying to get it set right, because I've never done it before. So we're going to go ahead and try the crush sleeve out, or not the crush sleeve, the crush sleeve eliminator kit. And once it gets here, we'll fire it back up and see what we can do, and hopefully we'll get it right. So far, everybody I've asked and showed, the races are good, the bearings are good, so lucky there. And showed that to a couple people, and they're thinking the same thing, thinking that when all this was installed, that the crush sleeve was put in, and when they pressed the yoke and everything, and, you know, pressed it all together, that they stopped once the upper bearing, once it was pressed down and hit the crush sleeve, they stopped instead of crushing everything down and putting everything where it needed to be. So I think we kind of got lucky with the bearings and the races being good. I don't know how many times they had it out after they, you know, reassembled everything. So instead of using a crush sleeve with the eliminator kit, and once it gets here, we'll try to do an install on it and see how it goes. Thanks for watching, and when I get it, I'll show you how it works out.